The win over Arkansas included a very rough time for the Wildcats defense, but the game left me thinking one thing. This is March.
You are Locked On Kentucky, your daily podcast on the Kentucky Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, what's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome on into Locked On Kentucky, your daily Kentucky Wildcats podcast. I'm your host, Lance Dawe, publisher of the College Notebook, but on this podcast, we take a dive into all things Kentucky athletics. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more and new customers. If you join today, you'll get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. You can visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. On today's episode of Locked On Kentucky, we are going to be recapping Kentucky basketball's 111-102 victory over the Arkansas Razorbacks. I suggested that there would be more pace in this game. This ended up being the fastest game Kentucky has played all season. Going to break down what happened on both ends of the floor. Look ahead because, ladies and gentlemen, it is officially March. Thank you so much for making Locked On Kentucky your first listen every single day. Want to remind everyone out there that we are free and available on all platforms. So if you're watching on YouTube, I would greatly appreciate it if you subscribed to the show. Wherever you are tuned in on podcast, I appreciate you listening. If you are new to the show, sub up there as well. So let's go ahead and get into it. Again, final score for the Kentucky Wildcats, 111-102. Cats moved to 21-8, 11-5 on the season. I've been begging Kentucky basketball throughout SEC play to just string together 3 games. Just 3 games. And they started it off with a blowout win over Alabama. They went on the road. Reed Sheppard beat Mississippi State at the buzzer. And now against Arkansas, after being down by 7 with time winding down, the Wildcats managed to pull it out and win 111-102. It's just really funny to look down at that final score and see 100 points plus for both teams in this contest. I did not think this game would be the offensive shootout that it ended up being. Now, yes, we talked a lot on the preview episode about how Arkansas's guards, for as statistically inefficient as they have been all season, I think that there's still a lot of talent in that backcourt. And I came into this game saying it's what has me concerned, and it's what makes me think this contest is going to be closer than what some outlets predict. I said Kentucky was going to win by 9, and I said that Kentucky would score somewhere in the mid-80s. We got the 9 points part right. We did not get the collective score between these two teams topping 213 points. Just an insane offensive shootout. One of the most entertaining games of the season by far. Actually, Kim Palm tracks that, so I'll make sure to look at that in just a little while to see how entertaining was this game, according to the computers, because to a human, it was absolutely fantastic. Of course, Kentucky took their lumps in the second half after building a bit of a lead. Arkansas was able to come back, tie it up, go back and forth with UK, and then extend their lead. I believe at one point, Arkansas was up by 9. Yes, up by 9 with 8:42 left in the second half, 86-77. They were down, the Wildcats were 88-81, I think, as we were heading to the final 5 minutes and change. And then Kentucky did something really interesting, and this is where I want to start here today after just talking about the generics. Kentucky, for the final 5 minutes and 42 seconds of this game, went with an all-freshman lineup. They did not play Antonio Reeves, who led the team in scoring and was 8 of 10 from the floor. They did not play Adu Thiero. They did not play Trey Mitchell. They went with the youngest lineup they could, and that lineup outscored Arkansas by 12 to close the game out. I think that there are a couple of ways to view this. The first is criticizing Cal. Why don't you have a veteran presence / your best scorer out there to close the game out. That doesn't make any sense. Or you can look at it as this is a game against a less talented team that is punching above their weight class and is playing really, really good offense. Let's see for these final few minutes if we can get some of these young players some experience, because, ladies and gentlemen, I want to reiterate it, this is March. From this point on, it does not really matter how Kentucky does it. Doesn't matter if they win by 30. Doesn't really matter if they win by 2. It doesn't matter if they shoot 60% from the floor or shoot 25% from the floor. As long as they win, that's what matters. Now, normally, I'm not a huge proponent of a win is a win. But today, in this scenario, with Kentucky clutching the game out, a win is a win in conference play. I just wish we had seen some better defense, to be honest with you. But the fact that these freshmen weren't only just thrown out there to try it out. They executed and they closed, specifically Rob Dillingham, Justin Edwards, Zvonimir Ivisic. Excuse me. The fact that they were able to go out there and do that, is very, very impressive. The team has always had this type of upside on offense. The team held Arkansas without a field goal for, I think, 6 minutes to close out the game. The team has the ceiling to win it all. They just need to get up when the game matters. And what I don't think they understood for 75% of this game is that this game, despite it being against a 14-14 team at home, this one matters. This would have been a quad 3 loss, by the way. Would have been a quad 3 loss for Kentucky. Arkansas is ranked lower than UNC Wilmington in the net, the team that Kentucky lost to in the non-con slate. Yeah, Arkansas is ranked worse than that team. Yeah, you needed this one. I thought it was going to be more competitive because I thought Arkansas's guards were going to have a chance to step up and make plays. They did, but Kentucky closed it out with some pretty good offense and some not so great defense. So we'll continue to talk about it. Let's get into some of the individual statistics here. Let's talk about some of the individual performances. Before I do that, though, I want to tell you guys about our friends over at FanDuel. You can get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. You can check out all different kinds of NBA props with a ton of different Kentucky Wildcats, obviously, to choose from. Quick bets, live same-game parlays if there are multiple cats playing in the same game. If you are interested in that, exclusive props, and more. You don't have to limit yourself to just former Kentucky players, even though there are a ton of different options to choose from. Any different kind of NBA prop. It's super fun, super awesome. All you have to do is go over to FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. Again, that is FanDuel.com/lockedon. Shoot your shot with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. All right, continuing along here on the Saturday edition of Locked On Kentucky. Lance Dawe hanging out here with you. If you have not checked out the College Notebook, it is a new Substack that I have just started. It is free to subscribe to. Going to have some articles coming out here soon about some things to do with the Wildcats, some things to do with college basketball as a whole. I did a tier listing of every single college basketball contender. I've got some really, really positive feedback on the couple of pieces that we put up over at the College Notebook. So if you are interested in going to check out for free just some writing that I'm doing over at the College Notebook, that link will be in the description here on the YouTube and podcast feed. And then while you're at it, by the way, go ahead while you're down there and subscribe to the show wherever you are tuned in. Again, podcast, YouTube, wherever you are checking the show out today. I really appreciate it. Let me know what you thought about this game in the comments below, and make sure that you join up because, ladies and gentlemen, third time I've said that this show, it's going to be an interesting end to the season. Let's dive further into the numbers here. 111-102, Wildcats win at home after being down at one point in the second half by a significant margin. Felt like Kentucky wasn't going to come back. They were able to. 111 points scored, 34 of those from the charity stripe. Kentucky went 34 of 42. Just about everybody got involved from the free throw line. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, just 3 or 4 different Wildcats took 2 free throws minimum. Every single Wildcat that got into the game took and made at least 1 free throw. Zvonimir Ivisic and Aaron Bradshaw led the team 6 of 8 and 6 of 7 from the line, which is not something you would have thought from your 2 big men, but they stepped up in a massive, massive way. Some impressive performances. Let's talk a little bit about Justin Edwards. Don't really lead off different highlights here with him, but 10 points, 3 of 4 from the floor, a massive, massive 3 there at the end of the game. 1 assist, 1 rebound, a few steals there to close it out. Just really big time play from Justin Edwards. Him taking that 3-point shot and hitting it, that was essentially what called game. And to have that confidence after having all of these different negative things thrown at him is, again, using the same word here, it's impressive. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. Edwards stepped up. Antonio Reeves had a great game. 22 points, 8 of 10 from the floor. He was 5 of 6 from the charity stripe. Only took 2 threes, which continues to point out just how good Reeves has gotten at getting to the hole and hitting mid-range shots. He also had 4 rebounds and assists. Unfortunately, had 5 turnovers, but Arkansas was really, really playing aggressive on him, really handsy. Not saying that there were things that weren't called. I'm just saying they really tried to clamp down on him, and they got some turnovers. DJ freaking Wagner. 19 points. 6 of 7 from the floor, 4 of 5 from beyond the arc, and a rebound in 26 minutes. Wagner had his best offensive performance, I would say, of the season in terms of quality of opponent and in terms of efficiency. 19 points on 6 of 7 shooting. I will never, ever dog that. He hit his open shots, and he hit a couple of tough ones too. Loved what I saw from Wagner today. Would love to see him be more consistent here as we get to the end of the season. But this is a good starting point if he wants to try and build on that. Aaron Bradshaw, 15 points, 4 of 4 from the floor, again, 6 of 8 from the foul line, had 5 rebounds and assist as well. A good performance from Aaron Bradshaw, who finished positive 10 in the plus-minus department, and then the leader in plus-minus at the end of the game for Kentucky was Rob Dillingham. He actually led both teams in plus-minus. He had 15 points on just 5 of 13 shooting, missed all 3 of his 3-point attempts, but had 5 free throws, had a couple of rebounds, 5 assists to 1 turnover, and a steal in 24 minutes of play. He was cold for the majority of the afternoon. But as we've continued to see from Dillingham, even in losses, when Kentucky needs a guard to step up and start making plays as time winds down, Rob Dillingham has been the answer. And he was the answer at the end of this game, hitting a couple of tough layups, getting to the foul line, distributing the ball, dishing it down low for easy dunks to Ivisic on the pick and roll. Impressive performance from Dillingham to close the game out. Speaking of Zvonimir Ivisic, in this game, had 12 points, 10 of them in the second half, 3 of 4 shooting, 6 of 7 from the line. He had 9 rebounds, an assist, and a couple of blocks and a steal in 20 minutes of play. I don't think it's fun to continue to say the same thing over and over and over again about an individual player. 20 minutes, he needs somewhere between 20 to 25 a game, I think, because Zvonimir Ivisic has proven when you give him some time, he's going to produce results. It may not be every single night, but you're going to have nights where he plays really, really well to good. He's got a high ceiling as a basketball player. He's a fun piece on this team. He's a smart piece on this team. as witnessed in a couple of different plays in this game. He fits in so well. Give him his touches, give him his flowers. Zvonimir Ivisic, a really good game on offense. Those were kind of the highlighted performances here from the offense. Reed Sheppard also 10 points, but he was just 3 of 7 from the floor, made 2 3-pointers, had 5 assists, 3 turnovers, and no steals, which is surprising for Sheppard, but it was an okay day for him, all things considered. Kentucky shot 57% from the floor, 45% from 3, and 81% from the charity stripe. They actually out-rebounded Arkansas. Kentucky is undefeated this season when they out-rebound their opponent. Had more second-chance points, had 54 points off the bench. Arkansas outscored the Wildcats by 10 in the paint. Arkansas also had 24 fast break points to Kentucky's 20, which just shows you how quick this game was. As far as offense goes, there was a lot of it in this game, and Kentucky had a lot of fun. But unfortunately, they didn't play very good defense. Let's go ahead and get into that. So Arkansas shot 53% from the floor, 41% from beyond the arc, shot 96% from the charity stripe, went 27 of 28. This team, by the way, on average, go ahead and pull this up real quick for you, shoots 74.2% from the charity stripe. And they hit 96% of their free throws. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes you'll get an opponent that will come into your building and play out of their mind while you play some pretty lackluster defense, and that combination is going to lead to 100-plus points. Thankfully, it didn't matter because Kentucky ended up winning, but still. Kentucky's defense dropped, I think, 9 spots in adjusted efficiency on KenPom after this one. Miami made the Final Four with a defense ranked 99th. Kentucky's ranked 94th right now. So there's still hope for a run. Still hope for a run, especially with this talent. But you got to start cleaning some stuff up. Arkansas only had 6 second-chance points and just 4 offensive rebounds. And that's the reason why I think Kentucky didn't drop further on KenPom in this one. But, man, when you play with the pace that you want to play with, like Kentucky does, the other team's going to get a ton of possessions. And when you turn it over 15 times, the other team's going to get a ton of possessions. And Arkansas did that. And they had 3 different guys absolutely go off. Well, technically, yeah, you know what? We'll go with 3. Starting with Khalif Battle, one of the 3 guards that I thought could give Kentucky fits. And he did. 34 points, 8 of 16 from the floor, and then 17 of 18 from the foul line. The officiating in this game completely missed some really, not just physical, but hey, that Kentucky player just got thrown out of bounds or elbowed out of bounds. We're just not going to call that? Okay, fine. But I wouldn't say the officiating was terrible. 17 free throws from one player is crazy. We knew Arkansas could get to the foul line, and that was the question. Can Kentucky guard this team without fouling? They only fouled 18 times as opposed to Arkansas's 26. But Arkansas made every single free throw matter in the second half. They were 21 of 21 from the foul line in the second half. Again, 17 of 18 from Battle. He also had 8 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 steals. Had 4 personal fouls. Trevon Brazile was 4 of 5 from the floor with 8 points. He fouled out, including a technical foul. Tremont Mark was another player that really went insane in this game. 23 points, 10 of 20 from the floor, 3 of 6 from beyond the arc. He's been their leading scorer all season. 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 turnovers, 4 steals, and he ends with a plus-minus of +3. He was the only Razorback to finish with a positive plus-minus. He had just 2 fouls, which is surprising. Devontae Davis in 26 minutes had 4 fouls and a technical. Mekhi Mitchell in 16 minutes had 4 fouls and a technical. 13 points, 4 of 6 shooting from him. And Jeremiah Davenport was the other player I wanted to highlight here, who was 4 of 6 from the floor, 14 points, 3 of 5 from deep. He had 5 rebounds, an assist, and just 1 personal foul in 25 minutes. He was the third guy that really gave Kentucky some problems by stretching out the defense. Kentucky got caught napping where he was just wide open at the top of the key a couple different times, and he made the Wildcats pay. So just a rough outing for Kentucky's defense, and they can step it up. We've seen them step it up against other teams, but today it was not great. Kentucky's actually dropped to 96th since KenPom has updated once more. So there you go. Kentucky gets a win. No defense. They managed to edge the Hogs in a very close contest, a fun, entertaining contest. When both teams score over 100 points, it's going to be entertaining. I believe that's the 6th time Kentucky has done that this season. Also, another fun note, if I am not mistaken, this is the first time in John Calipari's history that he has, at Kentucky at least, that he has played the bench more than the starters. Because the bench got like 100-plus minutes, and the starters only got like 94. Interesting decision in this game. Kentucky, by the way, climbing to 101st in the country in bench minutes, 35%, which is absolutely insane for Cal, who does not run a deep bench normally. But as we've gone on here, we thought for a second there that Kentucky was going to like close the rotation, was going to shorten the rotation. No. They've let guys play. They've let guys run with it. So, off the bench, I should say. You got 2 more games against 2 teams in the state of Tennessee, the Commodores of Vanderbilt and the Tennessee Volunteers. Man, I would hate it if Kentucky lost that game to Vanderbilt. They need to win that game. Doesn't matter how you do it, just do it. And if you can get that win against Tennessee, you're looking at a world where Kentucky could slide into that 3 spot if things go well, 3 seed spot if things go well. So we'll see how it ends. It's going to be very entertaining, just like this game today. Subscribe if you have not to the channel already. Really appreciate you guys tuning in today. And that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Kentucky. You can follow the show on Twitter at Locked On UK. You can follow me on Twitter at LanceDawe_, and you can follow the show over on Instagram. That is at Kentucky Podcast. Any questions, comments, concerns, leave those in the YouTube comments below. Hit me on the socials. I will see you all on Monday for another episode of Locked On Kentucky. Have a great rest of your day, everyone, and God bless.